Hi everyone, welcome to GCSE Religious Studies. If you have already listened to a few of these, apologies, it's my dulcet tones again, but I'm here now to promote one of our other GCSE courses, which again is a fabulous option for you to choose. So hold on and we will talk through what is on the GCSE Religious Studies course. So what then is religious studies? Well, from the perspective of the GCSE, it's the study of belief, values, meaning, purpose and truth in the context of different religions and ethical viewpoints. So the idea is to provide a course that allows students to develop their own attitudes towards religious and ethical issues, whilst also learning about two particular religions on our course. So the idea is for them to be able to realise how religion, philosophy and ethics all form the basis of our culture. And it doesn't matter necessarily what religion you are or what religion you don't have, but our decisions about what are right and wrong make up our cultural background. And hopefully through that they will develop analytical, critical thinking skills, the ability to work with very abstract ideas at times, leadership and research skills, all combined in one exciting and interesting course. So as well as what I said on the previous page about why to study the GCSE Religious Studies, we also have the concept of British values and citizenship. Some of the key questions that we might think about, particularly towards the latter end of the course, are how does religion feature in society today? What kind of impact does it have on individuals and on groups? And what do religious people believe about different ethical issues? Is there a religious moral stance or is there an atheist moral stance? How do people form their decisions on ethical issues based on their faith or because they do not have a faith? Hopefully we'll also give an appreciation of music, art and drama and its intent, because a lot of music, art and drama was originally based from, or it had a religious background. As I said about those analytical skills, we'll be using primary sources, so from religious texts mainly to focus in on religious beliefs and practices, and also those essay writing skills. So it's a combination paper of short answer and longer answer questions, so lots of opportunity to practice those writing skills as well. So I won't read through all of these. I think you're all capable of kind of working out, what you want to do in the future and how you think religious studies might fit into that. There's obviously the obvious one. So to be a chaplain, to be a priest, to be a vicar, to be a monk or a nun, or work in a spiritual advisor capacity, anything along those lines, then obviously religious studies is quite key. However, there are lots of other jobs and careers that really value religious studies. So if you want to be a teacher, obviously, but also an advice worker, equality, diversity and inclusion officer. All of those have to have an understanding of different religions outside of your own. To work for the diplomatic service or in the civil service. To be a newspaper journalist or a mediator, a policy officer. If you're going to make policies, you need to understand how that's going to impact people of different faiths. To be a youth worker or a solicitor. So religious studies has lots of opportunities to get into various jobs or careers, and it's not just for if you wanted to go into working in a religious institution. So the course itself is made up of two components, and component one is the study of religions, beliefs, teachings and practices, and we choose two different religions to study. The first one is Christianity, focusing on Christian beliefs. This is what we start with in year 10. So we look at the idea of the nature of God, omnipotence, omnibenevolence, omniscience, and can we actually define what or who God is? And then we'll look at some beliefs around creation, the afterlife, resurrection, judgment and salvation, and look at those from a particular Christian point of view and how they have an impact on people's lives. We then move on to look at those practices. So you have a belief, but how do you show that belief? What do you do in your daily lives that is a Christian practice? And we'll look at how people worship, so that includes worship and prayer, different festivals and services that people might go to, and then also the role of the church and the community in the wider world. What impact does being a Christian have on you within your community and on a global level as well? Now, the second religion that we study is Buddhism. Okay, and again, it's divided into Buddhist beliefs and Buddhist practices. So, for example, in the belief system, we'll look at the Dharma. You'll also look at different Buddhist traditions because just like many religions, it's not just kind of one size fits all. We'll also focus on the Buddha's life and the teachings of the Four Noble Truths and look at how Buddhists then live their lives through the example of the Buddha, just like we've done in Christianity whilst looking at how Jesus lived his life. When we move on to Buddhist practices, again we'll look at worship and festivals, but we'll also then look at Buddhist ethics and how ethical decisions are made based on those beliefs. So component 2 is then really the application of what you've learned in component 1. So you study 4 studies applying the 2 religions to all of those topics. And the topics that we do here, we do relationships and families, so Christian and Buddhist attitudes to both of those things. Religion and life, so that is focusing on key ethical issues. Religion, peace and conflict, focusing on war and justice. And religion, crime and punishment, looking at restorative and punitive punishments and the attitudes of Christianity and Buddhism towards those two. So this is kind of like the application side of the course, whereas the previous one is very much knowledge gathering to be able to then apply it to the second half. So just like a lot of the GCSEs now, there is no coursework for the RS GCSE. Each component is assessed with an externally assessed exam paper at the end of the course. So that's at the end of year 11. You've got paper 1, which is your study of religions, beliefs, teaching and practices. So that includes Christianity and Buddhism. It's an hour and 45 minutes long and it's worth 50% of the final grade. So this is split directly down the middle. So paper 1 is the beliefs, teachings and practices. Paper 2 is your thematic studies, those 4 key case studies that we're going to be looking at. And again, the second half is also an hour and 45 minutes. The questions on the paper are divided between 1-mark questions, 2-mark questions, 4-mark, 5-mark, 6-mark and 12-mark questions. So there's lots of opportunity to gain marks on the lower tariff questions as well, but there's also an opportunity to really fly on those 12-mark questions to show your understanding and application of the course. So it will encompass a full range of ability levels, so please don't think that it's a huge essay writing subject because that's not the case. There's lots and lots of opportunities. It's a really fun and engaging course, and I hope that you have a really good think about it, and it'd be lovely to see you in the religious studies class next year.